Okay, this video is a quick run through of our syllabus for CIT144, which is Python 1. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you word for word, but I'm going to go through and kind of hit the high points. So this is a standard online class, which means we will not be having any in-person meetings. I am your instructor, Wayne Beach. There is a bio in the course with information about myself. My phone number, I'm an adjunct faculty member at BCTC, so this phone number is actually my UK phone number where I work in Central IT. There is voicemail associated with that phone number. Since I'm an adjunct faculty member, I do not have an office. However, there are mailboxes in the Newtown Classroom building in room 213 where you could leave me information. I highly suspect that will not be necessary. Haven't had to use my mailbox since pre-COVID. I do not have any regularly scheduled office hours, again, because I'm an adjunct, but I'm available via email most of the time during the day. And if we need to set up a Teams meeting or a phone call or something like that, we can schedule that. Any virtual communications we do will preferably be over Teams. If for some reason that doesn't work out, we can find a method that does work. My email address is wayne.beach@kctcs.edu. This is my preferred method of communications. I almost always have my laptop with me and will be able to respond very quickly to emails. If for some reason you can't send an email and you need to leave a voicemail, that's fine. I will hear it. Maybe a couple of hours instead of a couple of minutes in the case of email, but I will get back to you as quick as I can. And again, that's at my UK phone number listed there on the screen. As far as division coordinators, there are typically two. We're kind of going through some transition this year, so there are three: Dana Brown, Ethan Coates, and Mike Harden. And all their information is listed there if you need to contact them for any reason. And our assistant dean is Lauren Campbell, and her contact information is listed there as well. Okay, this next section talks about accommodations. If you need an accommodation to be made in the classroom to be successful, you discuss that with the Student Accessibility Services Office, not with the instructor directly. And if the Student Accessibility Services decides that there's an accommodation that needs to be made in the classroom, they will email me, identify the student, and tell me what accommodation or accommodations need to be made for that student. And their contact information, if that applies, is listed there at the top of the screen. The next section is websites that might be handy to you. Most of these are probably pretty straightforward, but the one that I want to point out is MyPath. They started doing MyPath several years ago. I, as an instructor, if I go to MyPath, have things that are relevant to me as an instructor. You as a student, if you go to MyPath, will have things that are related to you as a student. I didn't think I would really like this when they first did it. I just didn't think I would use it. But it is actually a pretty handy tool, which I've ended up liking quite a bit. I'm not going to, like I said, read all this to you word by word. Down towards the bottom of the page is the official course description for this class. This is a 3-credit hour class, and prerequisite for this class is that you have completed CIT 120, which used to be called Intro to Programming. Last time I taught it, it was called computational thinking, I believe. The course competencies, this is a list of things that if you participate in the class, do your assignments, do well on your assignments, this is a list of 9 things that you should be able to do and or describe to somebody after successful completion of the class. As far as class materials, you will need access to a computer, a webcam, and high-speed internet. Cell phones, tablets, and possibly Chromebooks will not be sufficient to complete all the components of this course. If you need access to a computer, there are computer labs on campus. Your public library may have computers available to you, and BCTC does have a loaner laptop program if that is needed. For this course, we will be running a Python IDE, integrated development environment called IDLE. We will also be running command line Python. So you should be able to run these tools on your machine. These are available for Windows, Mac OS, and Linux/Unix operating systems. And one of our first assignments will be downloading any software you need and making sure you know how to use it. Since this is a 100% online course, you obviously need a Blackboard account at elearning.kctcs.edu. This will be where I'm posting lecture videos, homework assignments, programming assignments, and when completed, you will be uploading the submission documents to Blackboard for me to grade. Each of you as a KCTCS student has an email address. That's how you can get to that email address through the web if that's how you need to access it. Homework, we're going to be using something from the Pearson publisher called Revel, and there are assignments in there. I don't know exactly how many of the assignments I will be assigning, but likely there will be some. But the main thing is this is also how you get an electronic copy of your textbook. So that's going to be the main thing that will be linked into the Blackboard course shell. Again, that's just reiterating that we're going to be doing things online. You need a webcam and a microphone for any meetings with me. You will need a webcam and a microphone for our proctored midterm and proctored final. And most of this is going to work a lot better if you have high-speed internet. This is just reiterating the course fee. There is a fee associated with this course which pays for your textbook. Therefore, since you can access your textbook online, you do not need to buy a copy. But down here at the bottom, listed under optional textbook, if for some reason you prefer a printed copy in addition to the online copy that you've already paid for, here's information that you can use to purchase a physical copy of the textbook. Attendance and participation, this in the past was geared more for an in-person class, but since this is an online class, your attendance and participation will include things like checking Blackboard in your email daily and completing assignments and submitting them before or on the due date. Attendance verification. Years ago, the policy used to be something like if a student did not attend one of the first 2 class meetings, they could be removed from your class and listed as a no-show. In an online class, it's a little different. We have to give you a no-show activity. And in my case, there is a short quote test called Homework Zero, which is basically a true-false question, whether or not you have read the syllabus. And you need to complete that assignment by August 22nd to not be withdrawn from the class. If for some reason you do not complete that assignment and I remove you from the class, you're not going to be able to continue on in the class, and you will not be able to re-add the class. I told you that my preferred method of communications was email. One thing that I ask is that you put a meaningful / good subject on emails. This should be something that you do no matter who you're sending email to, but sending me an email that says help as the subject is not going to be very useful. But like the example I gave here, CIT144 - problem with homework 6. That tells me quite a bit. It tells me you're one of my CIT144 students. It tells me you're having a problem with homework 6. I know if homework 6 is due in 3 or 4 days. I know if it's due tonight. So I kind of know what level of urgency there is in answering this email. And if I go back and am working on grading or dealing with correspondence for CIT144, it allows me in my email client to search for the course and find any outstanding emails that I need to deal with. You should log in and check your email daily. One thing that I ask is you do not use the Blackboard messaging system. They may have changed this, but in the past it never notified me that I had a message there. So, the message might set for a day or two before I notice that there actually is one there. Whereas if you send me email while I'm on my laptop, which is pretty much constantly throughout the day, I will get your email immediately if you send me a message via email. One thing I learned a few semesters ago is that I might have students in different time zones. Most of the time, students are in the Eastern time zone, but if you're at Owensboro or Henderson Community College or might live somewhere else and be taking KCTCS classes, I decided I needed to add this at the recommendation of another instructor. So when I say your due date is the end of the day, which I set at 11:59 p.m. so there can be no confusion as to whether I'm talking about noon or midnight. So everything's due at the end of the day, Eastern time, which means, for example, if you live in the Central time zone, your due date or due time is going to be 10:59 p.m. So just keep that in mind if you're not in the same time zone as BCTC. Academic integrity policy. This basically deals with cheating. They had some other name for it, academic integrity, I guess. But anyway, basically what it boils down to is all submitted work should be solely completed by you. And what they've done down at the bottom is they have added a paragraph that relates to using things like ChatGPT or other AIs to complete your homework assignments. An AI completing your homework assignment is not you completing a homework assignment. Recorded class sessions, there's a policy related to that. I think it relates to, like, if I have a Teams meeting and the whole class is there, having to ensure that your names do not appear with your picture. But the reality is, I haven't had a class session in a long time. I used to do this syllabus presentation as a class, but if I had a class of 20, 30, 40 students, usually 3 or 4 would show up. So I decided it was just easier, and instead of trying to schedule a time that I think people will be available, to just record this and post it into Blackboard. The last thing on this page is the BCTC Equity and Unity Statement that was endorsed by BCTC in March of 2017. You can read that. As far as course requirements, several semesters ago, and I think this is a good thing, they made us list out all the different components that you would be graded upon in the class. So you have 4 major components. You have homeworks. These are assignments that I will be creating myself and posting into Blackboard. There will be programming assignments. Most likely, most of these programming assignments will come from me. They will be created by me. You write your program and submit that. There may be some kind of mini programming exercises that I consider more homeworks out of the Revel system. And like I said, those will probably be assigned as homeworks. You will have weekly quizzes. I think all of those will fall on a Thursday, with the exception of the one that would fall on Thanksgiving Day. I think I will delay that 5 or 6 days. But basically, that exam you're taking on Thursday will cover the material that was covered the whole week before that. So there'll be like a week 1 quiz, a week 2 quiz, etc. As far as exams, there will be a midterm and a final exam. Both of these exams will be created by me, and they will be administered in Blackboard, and they will be proctored using Respondus, which is the next thing I talk about. So Respondus is a piece of software, really a browser, for monitoring online exams. You have to have a computer with high-speed internet. You will have to install the Respondus browser on your computer, and you will need a properly working webcam and microphone to use Respondus. About 2 or 3 weeks prior to your midterm exam, I will assign a homework that has you go in and answer, kind of a fake 1 or 2 question test, just to make sure you have the software installed and that you know how to use it, so that you're prepared to use it for your midterm exam. Several semesters ago, BCTC started posting midterm grades in PeopleSoft. So there is a day that is designated as midterm grades day, and on that day I will post your standing in the class. So basically it is about halfway through the semester. If on that day I had to give you a grade for your course in the work, or your work in the course, this would be your grade. As far as your final course grade goes, this is how things will be divided up. Your homeworks will make up 15% of your grade. Since this is a programming class, programs will make up 40%. Your average of your weekly quizzes will be 15%. Your midterm exam will be 15%, and your final exam will be 15%. Once everything has been averaged and these weights applied, I use a traditional grading scale of 90 to 100 is an A, 80 to 89 is a B, etc. This is the, quote, hardest it will be. And what I mean by that is I will actually plot the final grades and decide where the breakpoints will be. I'm not going to do something like say, oh, I have excellent students this semester, so I changed my mind and 95 and up is an A. So that's what I mean by it won't be any harder than this. But a lot of times there's a lot of students, they'll make 88s, 89s, 90s, 91s, and then it will drop down to an 85 for the next grade. So if that was the case, once I plot them, I would make 88 and up an A. So you might consider that a possible slight curve at the end of the semester. As far as makeup and late work, I give you a due date. I expect under normal circumstances that your assignment will be completed and turned in, submitted to Blackboard by the end of that day. If for some reason you have unexcused, for example, if you have an excused absence or something out of the ordinary, like, sometimes a student will have a baby during the semester or might be involved in a car wreck that requires a day in the hospital or something like that. If something comes up, let me know. Also, I realize some students have regular jobs, possibly full-time jobs that have required training. And if that's the case and is going to prevent you from completing your homework on time, please talk to me as soon as you know, and we can work something out. Also had a student this summer that was in National Guard, so he went away for 2 weeks. So he completed most of the assignments before he left, but there were a couple he completed when he came back. So we'll work something out if it's a reasonable excuse. As far as withdrawing from the class, you probably know that up to the midpoint of the semester you can just go into PeopleSoft and drop your class on your own. After that midterm date, you have to have my permission. I consider withdrawing from the class a personal decision. We may discuss it and make sure that is the right decision and your understanding of how you stand in the class is correct. But ultimately, if you ask me to withdraw from my class, I will do that. The thing that's bolded here, though, however, that has to be done by the last day of class, not during finals week. So keep that in mind if that applies, that you have to do it before the end of the regular semester, that Friday, before finals week. Okay, on this page, we have some helpful resources. The only one I'm going to talk about is Starfish and the early alert system. Later we'll see dates for things called Starfish surveys, and basically they ask me for each student to go through and check, hey, student's doing okay, keep up the good work. Hey, you have a few assignments missing. Hey, I'm concerned because you have a lot of assignments missing. This student really should drop the class. This student is in danger of failing. So that we kind of have checkpoints throughout the semester to make sure that you're staying on track and hopefully doing the best you can in the course. As far as tutoring, I didn't put this in there in the syllabus because I'm not sure if it's going to apply to us. If it does, it will appear in Blackboard, but the last few semesters I've had embedded tutors. I'm not sure if they'll find an embedded tutor for 144, but if we do, we will have a student assigned to the class that has presumably had the class or is very familiar with Python, who is an additional resource to tutor you if you're having any type of problem in the class. Also, there's free tutoring available. CIT tutoring is available on Newtown campus and I believe the Georgetown campus. But even before COVID, a lot of the tutors did video tutoring sessions. During COVID, that's pretty much all they did. And these days, they have a mix. So If you need a tutor for the class, you can probably meet them in person on campus, or if it's more convenient with you, schedule a meeting time to work with them through Teams. The free tutoring has always been excellent, and I've had really, really good luck with my embedded tutors. But like I said, my embedded tutors in the past were for my networking classes. So hopefully we get an embedded tutor, and if we do, I'll give you information on that. As far as Respondus support, the way you get help with Respondus is by being in Respondus and clicking on their chat help button. So presumably you would be in a test or preparing to take a test and have a question, and you talk straight with the Respondus support people in that case. They're still leaving the course contingency plan in there because you never know what's going to happen with COVID or something else that might cause campus to close. Since we're an online class, a campus closure should not have any impact on us, but they want us to include this in the syllabus. And if you have in-person classes, it would probably be good to be familiar with that. And the bottom sentence is basically saying if this were to happen, there will be emails, correspondence, Blackboard correspondence with you about how it will change the class, if at all. And of course, you would always be welcome to talk to me over a Teams meeting or something if there were any issues that came out of that. This course outline is the official course outline. I'm not going to read this to you, but it's basically topic by topic some of the things that we will be talking about in the class, and for the most part matches up with the order of the chapters in our textbook. As far as reporting dates, August 23rd is the date I have to confirm your attendance. That's why the no-show activity is due on August 22nd, is so that I can make sure you did that and then properly report any no-shows on August 23rd. The first Starfish progress survey is approximately the fourth week of class. October 9th is the day that I will post midterm grades. The second Starfish is typically the 12th week of class. And then the Monday after finals week is when we have to have final grades posted. So my understanding is when I post those grades, which is typically Friday or Saturday at the end of finals week, that they're immediately available to you, but my absolute deadline is noon Monday. And the last thing we have here is the tentative course schedule. This is week by week what I anticipate we will be covering. So most of this is what chapter out of the book. On each of these chapters there will be homework or homeworks and programming assignments assigned throughout the semester. During week 8 is when your midterm exam will occur. It will be proctored, and you will have from Monday through Thursday of that week to take the midterm exam. And then down at the bottom, finals week is that first full week of December. Your final exam, like your midterm exam, will be administered technically Monday through Thursday of that week. Sometimes on the final exam, I'll open it up on Friday or Saturday, so that if you prefer to take your exams over the weekend, or that's more convenient because you have a job or something, that is typically available, but the official days are going to be Monday through Thursday December 4th through December 7th. So that finishes up my video discussion of our syllabus for the course. By all means, if you have any questions about anything I said or any questions about the class in general, please email me.